Hello everybody, welcome back to our channel. My name is Lay. I am a mother of two and we are a family of four on a financial journey of becoming completely debt free, where we plan on paying off over $29,000 of debt in 1 year and taking you guys step by step and payment by payment along the way. If you're new to this channel, thank you so much for clicking on this video and I really hope you enjoy this content and decide to stay. And if you're returning, thank you guys so much for your continued support as we navigate through this journey. So as you guys can tell by the title, today's video is going to be how to start an emergency fund. I know a lot of times in the finance community, the budgeting community, everybody talks about adding to their emergency fund, how much it should be, but nobody really ever talks about the actual steps outside of the numbers of how to start an emergency fund. And so that is what this video is going to be about. So let me go ahead and get started. This is actually my second time filming this video, so I should have it all together now. So how to start an emergency fund, you guys. So I am a firm believer that when you make that change of wanting to get your budgeting together, wanting to get your finance together, a lot of times it could be very overwhelming, especially when you're watching people that are midway through their journey or had already started it. You are probably thinking, how do I get started? What are the steps and what do I need to do? And it could be very overwhelming when you start off. So my first recommendation is analyze your situation. Are you a single income? Do you have children you have to consider or dependents you have to consider? Are you a variable income? Get a full picture of your financial situation. Is your income steady or does it fluctuate? That is going to help you determine how to kind of start with this, right? Because we want our budgets and our emergency funds to be realistic. Of course, it would be wonderful to say, I would love to save $30,000 in 1 year, but if you only have an extra $10,000, not only is it unrealistic, but it's also going to demotivate you. And so we want to make sure that everything is realistic. We know our situation. Like for example, I have two young children. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So I know that I'm going to have expenses for my children. I'm going to have things that maybe somebody without children wouldn't have expenses. So you have to take all of that into consideration. Same things. I have dogs, so I need to consider vet appointments and different situations of somebody who may not have animals. So really get a good understanding of your situation, what you take care of, what you don't take care of, your income levels, how often you get paid, does it fluctuate? Do you know every payday I get paid the same amount or can it go up and down? That is going to be a really big picture to this. The next one is that we are going to want to get on a written budget. I know everybody says that, you guys, but there is a really good point to it. We need to know where our money is going. I cannot tell you how many times my husband and I, we sit down and do our budget and one of us thinks we have more than what we actually have and the other one doesn't. And so getting on a written budget and actually assigning your money to a place alleviates so much unnecessary stress for you guys. How many times do you guys go out and it's payday and you think you set enough aside for bills and then you go shopping, do your groceries, your household, and then you realize you accidentally spent money that was supposed to go somewhere else? Getting on a written budget and knowing where your money is going is so important to this process. And then also knowing, are you positive or negative when it adds up? A lot of times people can think they're in an amazing financial situation, and the reality is they have more money going out than coming in, and likewise the opposite. Sometimes they think they're in a terrible money position, but reality is they're just spending more than what they anticipated. So they actually have the green. So if it's positive, we want to determine an amount that you could safely set aside. Again, you guys, we want our emergency fund to be realistic. Once you get on a written budget, if you realize you only have $100 to set aside, there's no reason to put $300 in your savings just to turn around and take out $200. We really want our emergency fund to be, again, determining on your situation. You're going to determine what your emergency fund is going to be used for and what those emergencies are going to consist of. For our household, it is solely for job loss and medical expenses. Everything else, my husband and I, we decided that we are going to have sinking funds for those. However, somebody else may have a car in their emergency fund, like a car situation or something else for their emergency fund. So we want to make sure that if we're positive, we're setting aside an amount safely enough that we know that in a given month we won't need it, until that emergency arises, because you guys, life is not going to stop for us because we decided we wanted to be on a financial journey. So it's really important that we do set aside, because life does happen. And unfortunately, it normally does happen when we least expect it. If we are in the negative, and this happens too, what expenses can we cut, or where can we bring in the written income? Where can we bring in extra income? This is where getting on a written budget is so important, you guys. If you guys get on a written budget, like for example, when my husband and I did it, at the very beginning, we had, I kid you not, like 6 subscriptions. We had Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime. We had all of these ones, and we really had to sit aside and ask ourselves, why do we have these? We don't even use half of these services. And we were able to cut quite a bit from our budget. We also had, like, I had some makeup subscriptions, like Epsi. I had massage subscriptions. So we really went in and cut our budget quite a bit to make sure that we have some of that disposable income that we could throw towards debt or could throw to emergency. So definitely analyze your budgets and analyze your needs versus your wants. I will always say, you guys, it's important to have some wants in your budget, especially if you're on a debt-free journey, because you are more than just working, paying off debt, and sleeping. But it's also important to note that you may not need 20 streaming services. So definitely, if you are negative, see what expenses you can bring in. Or do you have any extra ways that you can make extra income? Does your job offer extra hours or overtime? Do you have like a food delivery or ride sharing service in your area you could participate in? Can you sell things on Poshmark, Mercari, Facebook Marketplace? Think of creative ways to bring in extra income if your budget is tight and we're needing to get a savings, you guys. Savings is so important to cover you. And it also just alleviates stress. How many times have people went to bed stressed because they're thinking about money or something money related? So having an emergency fund definitely helps alleviate that as well. Next, you guys, challenge yourself if your budget's tight. So for example, if you give yourself for example, I'll use myself. We give ourselves a $125 weekly grocery budget. I will challenge myself to only spend maybe 100 of it or 115. And whatever I don't spend for that week, at that point I have extra, and I can decide I could put it into our emergency fund, I could throw it into our debt snowball. But giving yourself those little challenges, I think we so much forget how much little amounts add up. And they add up quickly, especially if you have no savings. How much of a relief is it if you challenge yourself, maybe in your groceries or your household budget or your gas budget? Maybe you decide this weekend we stay in and don't go out, and you save money in that category. Just think about how much things cost now with inflation, but also how easy is it going to be for you to save if you just say, you know what, maybe I don't need this item this week, or maybe I can meal plan, so then that way our grocery budget goes a little bit under. Definitely challenge yourself. I would recommend, if you're new to budgeting, if you're new to starting an emergency fund, challenge yourself maybe $5 or less in a category. That way you can build up that momentum. You can give yourself those small wins that you need. And then that way you can show yourself, I can do this. And maybe each week keep it there until you have a few successful weeks, and then try to lower it down a little bit. Just know when you do the challenging within budget categories, you may not always be able to meet them, because again, you guys, inflation's really crazy right now. And so if you guys watch my personal budgeting journey, you know, some weeks I go in really under, and some weeks I'm right exactly at my budgeted amount. The next thing, so determine an amount and consider your situation, your income, and your time frame. Is this going to be an ongoing or set amount? This is where I talk about where people get a little bit disagreeing on how much an emergency fund should be. Some people think it should be 1 month of expenses. Some people think it should be $1,000. Some people think it should be $2,000, $500. Only you can decide what is a comfortable amount for you in your starter emergency fund. My best recommendation would be start off small and give yourself those small wins. So if you have never saved anything for, as amazing as it sounds to save 10,000, 20,000, whatever your amount is, give yourself those small wins. Recognize this is something that's new to you. It's going to take trial and error as you get your budget situated, because they do say when getting on a budget, it normally does take a few months to get adjusted to it. So my recommendation is, if you've never saved anything before, start off small. Say, okay, I want to start with $100, $200, $500, and then keep working your way up. The key to this is that we want to build habits and not quick fixes. So we want to make sure that whatever foundation we put in place is a foundation that we're going to be able to keep, and it's going to be able to grow. And then my last recommendation is give yourself grace, you guys. It is so important while on a financial journey, of any journey, whether it's savings, paying off debt, just learning how to budget, give yourself grace. We are all human. We all make mistakes, and that's okay. We are not meant to be perfect. We're just meant to learn from our mistakes and do better. So that would be my recommendations. Give yourself grace. You're going to have some frustrating moments. I will tell you firsthand. Life's unexpected, expenses will come up, emergencies will come up, and that is why you have an emergency fund, because it will help eliminate that stress when those unexpected things come up, because now you don't have to worry about the financial aspect of it. So we're going to go over how to start the emergency fund steps really quickly, just doing a quick recap. First, we want to analyze our situation. 2, we want to get on a written budget, see where our money is going. Are you positive? Are you negative? If you're positive, we want to go ahead and determine an amount that you can safely set aside, because we don't want to be putting too much aside where we're pulling it out. And then if we're negative, what expenses can we cut and where can we bring in the extra income? We want to challenge yourself if your budget is tight. For example, if you have a $100 grocery budget, is there any way we can challenge ourselves to spend $95, $96, $97 and save those extra dollars and put it aside? Because those little amounts, they definitely add up. 4, determine an amount. Consider your situation, income, and time frame. Is this ongoing, or do you want a set amount? There is no right or wrong answer to start an emergency fund. Only you and your family can decide that. And again, take in consideration your family and your family situation. And lastly, give yourself grace, you guys. We're not perfect. We're human. So that is how our family decided to start our emergency fund, the steps we took when determining our emergency fund. If you guys want particular information or specifics about our family, I could definitely do a video on our family of 4 living in the Pacific Northwest and our emergency fund and what it consists of. But that is going to be it for this video. As always, you guys, if you guys are on a financial journey as well, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to support you and your channel. And lastly, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button to follow our family's journey of paying off $29,000 in 1 year. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.